So me and my coworker got talking today, and something came up that I didn't really think about when my dad mentioned it to me. He's worked in the agriculture industry for over 40 years. This year, farmers are being offered 1.5 times the value of their crops to destroy them. They're also being told by the federal government they will not receive subsidies for farming if they refuse to destroy their crops. What does that mean? That means that the farmer cannot afford to provide you with food based upon the taxes the government is levying on him if the government doesn't in turn give him back his tax money to provide you with food. Kind of a fucked up system, but that's how it works. And, well, they're not going to subsidize them if they don't destroy the crops. They'll pay them more than what it's worth, and they want them to destroy it. They'll still get their subsidies. They're trying to create a food shortage. We've got 8 months to get our own food supply.
Shout out Raven. Blood on my teeth, don't be walking down the street. I'll be in the dark, white bitch you never eat. I'll be in the dark, white bitch you never sleep. Pull up in a park and these bitches look at me. Look at Pete, brick walls, ain't nobody getting in now. Fake friends, they don't wanna see me win now. Deep water, they don't wanna see me swim now. Water on my wrist, castle for my bitch now.
Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keane. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, check us out, www.spreaker.com/user/Best Damn Podcast. Check out the Best Damn Podcast.tv. Follow me, Instagram, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and whatever you're watching on, which wouldn't be Facebook because it's still all jacked up. But please, make sure to subscribe, follow, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Hit the like and share. The number one way to support is sharing. They are really shadow banning shit lately too, so, and I imagine it's only going to get worse now that, we've had Facebook and IG and WhatsApp go down. So yeah, share. If you'd like to donate support, the links are below. You can join me tomorrow night for the Best Damn Fam Live, or you can do it just because you love me. That's also an option. Thank you everybody for joining me. I've got a pretty good one tonight. Lots of craziness going on. I feel like I say that every show, every video. Lots of craziness. It's because it's true. The last video I did, which I don't know what happened, it didn't stream out live on YouTube like it was supposed to, and then when it did, like the audio and the video was off. I don't know what the hell was going on with that, just, technology, but I talked about how, there's all these videos coming out where we've got farmers that are being paid by the federal government, which I got a little birthday present for you farmers. They're probably not going to pay you like they said. Just saying. I'll show you later. But they're being paid by the federal government to destroy their crops, as well as people that deal with oil to dump. We seen them dumping it out on dirt roads and stuff. I mean, it was craziness, right? As there's these quote unquote, food shortages and crises and, fuel crisis and shortage and all of that, right? You can go to a fact check right now, and this is what's nuts about it. It's bananas. You can go to a fact check right now, and it'll say, fact check. The U.S. government is not paying farmers to destroy their crops. I'm serious. It'll say that right now. You can go check it. I'll show you in a second. Yet at the same time, we see different food distribution companies that are being raided by U.S. Marshals on behalf of the FDA. I mean, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. It has nothing to do with them just, strong-arming food from people because they want to create, this food crisis and starve people out and all of that, and depopulation. I'm sure there's nothing to do with any of that. We also see that off the coast of California, there's a massive oil spill, which is also probably a coincidence and has nothing to do with them dumping oil out on dirt roads and, fuel shortages. And it has nothing to do with them having an excuse and a reason to bring in the military and the National Guard and close down beaches and get you away from the coast because they know that destruction is coming. Now, which you were told, and I mean, I'm sure it was the truth, even though it didn't end up being so, that there would be no federal mandates for any of these things that are now being mandated, right? You remember that? Like, we're not going to require this and that. Do you remember that? I do. Do you? I do. And now they're requiring it, right? And they're creating these federal mandates, including a new executive order that is bringing in measles to the list. And I'm going to show you what exactly that's actually all about. This goes right into the shit I was talking about with New York. New York is basically in the United States. That's what's taking the lead. You can kind of look at New York and Cali, to see which direction all the other states are going to follow, especially New York, because New York City, the capital of the UN, that is the Babylonian system. That's the New World Order. That's the whole shebang right there. So when they brought in their bill that was declaring, that they could basically quarantine and take people away for being, risk to public health and all of that, I knew that was just the start of something bigger. Well, now with this executive order, and it's really an amendment to an older executive order that adds measles to the list, so they can declare that there's these measles outbreaks in certain areas, and they can go shut your whole fucking town down and put you and everybody in your city in a camp because of this. And see, a lot of people don't know these things. They don't keep up with these things. They don't understand these things. Right here behind the chat here on the screen is a video. This is off the coast of California right now. This is a naval blockade. Right? They got like Coast Guard and all this shit, like creating a World War style blockade to their own country. I wonder if people understand the ramifications of what is actually taking place. See, I tell you, it's a psychological thing. When they say there's no food, when they say there's no fuel, you psychologically shift footing. And I mean, probably some of you that even watch this channel are going to do it. I mean, and it's not a knock on you if you do, I'm just trying to tell you before you do so you don't fall into the trap. Because they know what all of this is actually about. And believe it or not, it's bigger than any world event. It's bigger than any law, any mandate, any executive order. It's bigger than any disaster, anything. It's actually a battle for your soul, man. Truth be told. At the end of the day, this is the destruction of this reality and the collapse of this reality, and everybody who folds under the pressure of this. See you later. You don't exist. You failed the test. And this is the final test here. That's why it's called the tribulation. It's a trial, right? You're being put right on the stand here to see, your medal. You're going to show your medal. You're going to see what you're worth to God, to these archons, these angels, and you've been set up to lose. It's a rigged system for you to lose. So as they collapse everything around you, what they want you to do is to go into a survivalist mentality. And I'm trying to get this across to people because I don't want to see it happen, but I know it will eventually. By the winter, and we're now seeing newer mandates that they're putting dates on this stuff in different states, especially like New York, for high schoolers, primary school, kindergarten through 6th, how there's going to be requirements for them to go to school. We're now seeing that they put dates on this for healthcare workers, military, police. They're all, and everybody who resists, and I can tell you, they're putting out disinformation right now that says, the few people who don't want to do this are going to resign or going to walk away from their job. No. They're doing this to replace them with the National Guard, guys. That's what they're doing. This is how they brought in, and I've been telling you this for a long time. This is how they're bringing in martial law. If I was the president of the United States, I'd do it the exact same way. Instead of just declaring martial law and storming your cities with soldiers and scaring the fuck out of you and creating panic and chaos, I would meticulously, right, just like they have, little by little, gradually, attack every element of your life. That way I could then say, hey, I'll protect you. I'll send the military in. Hey, I'll protect you. I'll send the National Guard in. Hey, I'll protect you. Stay at home. Hey, I'll protect you. Here's a mandate. Hey, I'll protect you. Here's a law, right? And then you're none the wiser because it was incrementally done, so you don't even know what the shit is going on. You're like, oh, yeah, I don't notice anything because I got that goldfish memory, right? But people who have the ability to look back and put the pieces together can see, but that's just a small percentage of the population because of the massive mind control and propaganda and all of that, disinformation. So now we find ourselves on the doorstep of a total system collapse, and I'm not going to water it down for you. It's by design. It's by design. And I was even thinking to myself today, like, it's really weird, how I come back to start making videos just in time, just in time for all of this. And any video could be my last, or you're seeing right now with Facebook down, Instagram down, all of that stuff. I think that was probably a dry run for something, and Facebook still isn't working right, by the way. I couldn't connect or do anything, and I'm not streaming there right now because of it. It's a flip of a switch. And this big squeeze that they're putting on the population, the grip gets tighter and tighter. Each day now, they're going to try everything they can to get you to capitulate or die. It's that simple. It's that simple. They're going to try to get you to capitulate or die. So they will starve you if they have to. They'll take away your ability for transportation. You didn't notice there was a mass shooting at Amtrak? Isn't that a form of transportation? Just saying. Trains. Isn't there a mandate for the airlines now? Isn't that a form of transportation as well? Mix that in with a little fuel crisis. What do you got? You're SOL if you don't go along with it, basically. You see how that works? See, most people don't have the ability to look at all of them, right? And look at all the things happening. They don't. And you can say it's their fault. You can say it's not. It doesn't matter, honestly. Some people don't want to see this because they're scared. They're scared to face their own mortality. They're scared of all the things that will take place or may take place. They're scared for the people in their lives. So it's easier for them to bury their heads in the sand right now than it is to just look at what's going on. And the only way you're going to overcome it is to actually assess the situation and say, okay, now, and you have to understand, if it's just about you surviving is one thing. But the way that we are created, we need each other to actually have civilization or society. So as we're creating our survival strategies, as we're trying to understand how they're attacking us and how to navigate our ways through this is the fork in the road. This is where you draw your line in the sand and you choose. You're being forced to. They're calling your bluff. It's what's happening. Take it, or leave it. It's that simple. They're calling your bluff. Oh, you say you don't love the world. You say you're not a government puppet. You say you won't take this or that mandate, or you won't go along with this or that. We'll see. We'll see. Do you like to travel? Do you like to drive? Do you like to eat? Oh, it wasn't good enough you capitulated in the beginning. You're going to have to every 6 months now. Or else you're on the bad list too. And we got your soul. And you're dying. This is the machine. This is it. Like, all the years, like all the work I've done, you've done, we've done. This is what it all culminates to. This is what it all ends up to, is where we're at now. And I really want people to understand this. This isn't something to be played with either. You know, you can't sit on the fence on this shit. You know, you can't. You can't be lukewarm, because lukewarm is, you might as well just go capitulate. Because you're going to anyways. You're going to anyways. You can't let fear control your mind in this situation, or you will fall prey to this. You can't let selfishness, that survivalist mentality, right? Well, I gotta stay alive, just me. You won't make it. Contrary to popular belief, you won't make it. It's a test on another level. It's on a higher level. You know, if it wasn't, then every fucking animal on this earth, and look around you, every man and woman is damn near an animal now. At least in mentality, personality, intelligence, emotional maturity. They would survive. But that's not how this works out now, is it? It's a higher test of higher principle, higher morality, higher consciousness. That's what goes on. That's what gets the great reward of being in the presence of Creator, of Source, of God. That's the reward. The reward is returning to your birthright that was taken from you, and that you have given up by the way you choose to live. We all do it. Nobody's free of blame here. So there's no use in pointing fingers and saying, you do this or you do that. All that stuff's got to fade away. Let's go ahead and show some of this stuff here. And I don't want to say it's the end, because it's the beginning of something really awesome, y'all. It really is. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The new world order they're trying to create does not come to them the way they think it will. And I promise you this. There will be a new world order. A one world system. A system of unity and connectedness. But it won't be the one that they're planning to bring to everyone. It will be one that is organic and made through love, and one of light and truth. And it won't be ruled by a small few. It'll be ruled by the masses and the good of all, not a few. But we have to get over this hump here. We basically got to let these dogs tear each other apart over this piece of meat that they call this world. You know? And try to steer clear of all the fighting the best we can. And take care of each other the best we can while it all unfolds. Tonight we're going to look at all types of things, just to kind of reinforce what I'm saying here and show you I'm not just talking out of my ass. I'm not making anything up. It's not theatrics. It's not, I don't gain anything. Matter of fact, this hurts me. When I say stuff like this hurts me. You know, it does. If I was looking to be business smart, I wouldn't tell you that something bad was coming, because more than likely that's going to hurt me. People don't want to support. They don't want to speak out. They don't want to even be associated with someone saying these things. So it does, you know. But the truth is what it is. So we have to say what it is. Or, you know, because if it was just about me, I'd just keep it to myself. You know, but it's not. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than any one person. There's no point in doing any of this if there's not people. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. And that's love one another as you love yourselves. and think about that. How powerful of a statement that actually is. People, their whole existence revolves around them. He was saying something so profound by saying that, and people don't even stop to think about what he's actually saying. People's whole existence, self-absorbed, self-centered, selfish. Saying love one another as you love yourselves. So do each other as you would do for you. How you sit and think about all day how you can make your life better, think about that for others. How you sit and think about all day how you can serve you, do that for others. How you make sure that you're happy and you got the gratification and the satisfaction that you want in life, do that for others. How you make sure that you have your necessities, your needs, your cares, your wants, your desires, do that for others. Think about what's actually being said. Or love one another as I have loved you. How did he love you? What was that story about? Someone that did something completely unpopular, right? Went against the status quo, was defamed, beaten, and murdered, essentially, for the good of a few people that would listen. Everybody else turned on him. Even his homies turned on him. You know? So love one another as I have loved you. That means despite the fact you're going to burn me, despite the fact you're gonna pick up the rocks and throw them at me when everyone else does, despite the fact you're going to flip on me, I'm still going to sacrifice my entire life for your well-being because it's bigger than one person. See, people never, I don't think they ever stop to think about how powerful words really are and what he was truly saying, how profound those words really were. When he's saying these two commands, they fulfill the entirety of the law. Well, that's saying something. Those laws are, don't murder, don't cheat. They're laws that cover everything. So he's saying if you do that, if you treat the world as you would treat yourself, if you live in the service of other people and you dedicate your life to making others' lives better, then you're blameless in the eyes of God. You're blameless. You've done it all. You can't break none of those rules if you follow that. You won't steal. You won't lie. You won't cheat. You won't kill, because that would directly violate the rule of love. In order to understand what's happening now, we're going to be looking at the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. This is Agenda 21. We're going to be looking at what it's actually outlining, where it counts U.S. leads in artificial intelligence. This is, and I have a document here too. Where's it at? Right here, Project Salus. This right here says it all. If you have anybody in your life that says the conspiracy stuff is just crazy and that all of this is real, and just show them this. This is all you got to do. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. This is the project phases. Can you guess what project it is? Governance Foundation documents, street engagement, project management plan, the change strategy. This is June. Now watch. They're literally showing you engagement and comms, general, the impact and how they're going to bring society into where we're at now through phases. Through phases. Just like when we were looking at the handbook for this plan right? I can't even say what it is anymore, so you just kind of got to read between the lines, dude. The handbook and how they were going to phase that, they had other projects and other plans that weren't brought to the public then that was showing how they were going to phase out the entirety of society into this great reset. Let's go over here first. And boy, Southwest Airlines says the staff by December 8th, under federal rules. Remember, they wasn't going to require anything. Remember? Do you remember that? Southwest Airlines said its 56,000 person workforce staff must be by December 8th to continue employment. American Airlines, Alaska Airlines, JetBlue made similar announcements last week. There's one. And their services hasn't started back. Just saying. Arizona Amtrak shooting leaves DEA agent and suspect dead. One person detained, authorities said. Suspect barricaded themselves in a bathroom in the train and was found dead. More of that lone wolf shit, right? More of that lone wolf shit. Notice how it's hitting transportation. Drug Enforcement Administration agent and a suspect were left dead, and 2 law enforcement officers were injured Monday during a shooting inside an Amtrak train stopped at an Arizona station, authorities said. There's your next clue. Crews race to avert ecological disaster after California oil spill. Now, I'm going to show a quick video in just a second. And you tell me, you tell me. I don't know how people don't catch on to this shit. This is literally, I make a video showing you them dumping oil out on a fucking dirt road in the very next day. Massive oil spill and an excuse for them to bring in the military and fucking blockade the coast of California and close down all the beaches. I mean, it's just absolute insanity. It's like you can't make this stuff up. It says a massive oil spill off Southern California has local officials bracing for an environmental catastrophe as the Coast Guard races to clean up leaked heavy crude oil and prevent it from further infiltrating the region's fragile marshlands. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. We've already seen oiled fish and birds wash up on shore, said Laura Deham, the state director of Environment California, a nonprofit organization that lobbies for environmental legislation. We know that when this thick, goopy oil gets into place, it's really hard to clean up. An estimated 126,000 gallons of heavy crude oil spilled in the Pacific Ocean on Sunday, affecting nearly 25 miles of the coastline in Orange County from Dana Point to Huntington Beach. Local officials said Sunday that the oil seeped into the Talbot Marsh, a 25-acre wetlands reserve that is one in a chain of marshes along Huntington Beach. Talbot Marsh is a crucial rest stop for thousands of birds as they migrate south over the winter and is home to around 90 species of birds throughout the year. Now, remember, I was just showing you an article just the other day how they were talking about, the Arctic is melting and it's releasing nuclear waste into the water. I'm sure them pouring 126 fucking thousand gallons of oil into water has nothing to do with it, being bad either. Remember, there's water crisis too, and that's a lot of the reason why they have been ordering farmers to destroy their crops. Well, unofficially, they've been ordering farmers to destroy their crops. Check this out.
Parked outside the ports on both the West Coast and the East Coast, with the globalists locking down the ports on purpose to cause these restrictions. I mean, look, Alex, this is the naval blockade that America did to Japan in World War II to block fossil fuels from being shipped into Japan.
The workers leave because if one person gets COVID, everything's...
And I just wanted to show you that footage there. I can't show much of that one at all. And let me flip over to this video real fast.
So me and my coworker got talking today, and something came up that I didn't really think about. My dad mentioned it to me. He's worked in the agriculture industry for over 40 years. This year, farmers are being offered 1.5 times the value of their crops to destroy them. They're also being told by the federal government they will not receive subsidies for farming if they refuse to destroy their crops. What does that mean? That means that the farmer cannot afford to provide you with food based upon the taxes the government is levying on him if the government doesn't in turn give him back his tax money to provide you with food. Kind of a fucked up system, but that's how it works. And, well, they're not going to subsidize them if they don't destroy the crops. They'll pay them more than what it's worth, and they want them to destroy it, and they'll still get their subsidies. They're trying to create a food shortage. We've got 8 months to get our own food supply. We're probably going to be facing mass starvation.
Is it true that the government is paying farmers to destroy their crops? And the simple answer to that is yes, they are.
Initially heard about the government paying farmers to destroy their crops.
And think about that too. You can go, and I'm going to show you in just like 2 seconds. You can fact check this shit, and they'll say that, you know, it's absolutely not happening, right? Like, the government's not paying nobody to destroy anything, yet you can see massive farmers, one after the other.
Something about the low carbon footprint or something. So that's what we're
I
doing.
got my letter yesterday. The letter asking you to destroy some crop. Along with the letter, I had to sign for a certified package, which included these two binders, and then of course this 3-ring binder on how to properly dispose of your crops. And as you can tell, it's on government paper. And as you can tell, this here is the affected area in my section of the county, closest town, and of course you can't run away even you live. So from the county tracts, then they break it down into these individual farm tracts that you have to destroy. And you can see the crop or the field.
This is the second machine that I dropped off here for the local farmers. Just want to show you a little bit of each drum. You got 4 of these drums, 2 on each side. Now you can imagine the damage they can do, not counting the blade which you can set down. So this will be the first field that we take care of. So all we're going to do is mash everything into the ground. And then I'm going to go pick up some steel plates, lay them across the road plates, so we can get the machines over there, start on that farm. So the farmers got paid by the government. I don't understand what it's all about, but they got paid. Now they hired us to come in here and just destroy whatever we can. I don't understand how.
And I love how each one of them are shifting the blame. Like, oh, it was the farmers that got paid, but now I'm going to come in and run the motherfuckers over. Or the farmers saying, oh, the government told me I had to. Now here's your oil.
Well, what you saw right there ought to concern you. I was doing exactly what I was told via a letter I got last night in the mail from the Department of Hydrocarbons. They said in order to stabilize oil prices, they need a bunch of oil just dumped. And not dumped on the market, just dumped on lease roads and field roads and things like that. So I'm hooked up to that oil tank, going straight into my truck to get rid of it. Well, I'm going to get fined if I don't get rid of it, they said. So that prompted me to call District Selectman Tony Deloge and ask him about this letter. He said he didn't know much about it, but he would suggest that I follow whatever it says. So here we go.
Yeah, now 126,000 gallons off the coast of California conveniently. You know, I'm just saying, you know, I'm sure there's nothing connected with all of that, you know, probably not. And like I said, once again, as the guy dumps the fucking oil, he says, well, they were going to find me. So his love of money, even though he knows he's going to severely cripple the economy and hurt people, serving yourself, remember? Love one another as you love yourselves. See the power of the statement?
Freight is setting at ports. It is not moving. And we're talking ports around the world. Now, the freight that was on this container was shipped 37 days ago. This is that freight behind me. somebody is intentionally hindering freight from moving back and forth. There are ports that are stacked. The directive is let it set. Let it set. I reached out to my largest customer, this customer, and that's what I was told. That the directive is let it set. We are definitely going to experience shortages, the likes of which you have never seen.
They're trying to keep me quiet. I need you guys to blow this up and stop scrolling. Control the food supply, control the people. This is what's happening. This is the truth. As a fourth-generation farmer, I am hearing cries across the United States. The Biden administration introduced the 30-30 bill, saying that it is a climate change bill, a conservation bill. But if you look deeper and if you really research what they're trying to do in Nebraska, it is disgusting. Why the hell does the government want 1.16 million acres in Nebraska? Because 97% of Nebraska is privately owned, so they're taking from farmers and ranchers and hardworking Americans. And by 2030, they want to take 680 million acres across the United States, kill family farms, control the food supply, control the people. Are you guys ready to stand up?
So one of the things we're going to be talking about this week is the apparent fresh food shortage that's going to hit Europe and the UK over the next few weeks and months. This has been completely orchestrated, and it's absolutely terrible that this is likely to be
This
happening right
cripples
now.
the allies
Plenty of
of the United States as well. You have to understand
have no
that
shortages. Farmers have no shortages, despite the
and they're telling you they have no shortages, and they're just being fucking ordered to destroy this shit. And look, this goes beyond this. This is sheep, cattle, pigs. I'm going to show you. They are setting you up for the biggest fucking devastation of your lifetime. And most of you are oblivious to it. That's what's nuts about it. Not like as in most of you that watch this channel.
I have some breaking news. So right now the federal government is offering farmers 1.5 times the amount that their crops are worth to destroy them. I know it's...
You get the point, right? You get the point here. So let me go ahead and switch back over. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, yo. You know, I don't make these things up, dude. Like people, for whatever reason, they think that I'm just pulling this shit out of my ass. Save our bacon. British farmers demand as pig cull looms. So it's not just your greens, little Johnny. It's going to be your meat too, right? Pigs. London. Reuters. Britain's pig farmers on Friday warned of a pork crisis unless the government urgently eased an acute shortage of abattoir workers and butchers that have left up to 150,000 pigs backed up on farms and facing a costly cull. This is the biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. They're blaming the workers and shit. Foot rot link to cod could help control diseases in sheep. Oh, they're making them call sheep too. This is one of the findings study carried out to improve understanding what causes cod and how it could is currently diagnosed, treated, and controlled. Speaking at AHDB webinar. Lecture in livestock healthcare and welfare. The University of Liverpool said we need to repeat this work in the field, but it's consistent with previous studies. It involved scientists, farmers, and vets, and showed how it was more prevalent in large flocks, lowland pastures, and lush pastures. And this is off of the sheep too. And now they're saying, oh, China is going back to work. From what I've heard, China didn't stop doing a fucking thing. Oh, what do you know? This is fact check right here. Just saying. You can trust the fact check. U.S. is not telling farmers to destroy crops. Those were not letters from the federal government those people had in their hand. They were mowing them down because they obviously are farmers and they don't know how to read, right? Like, that's what happened. Just like They're not intentionally pouring fucking oil in the roads and in the oceans and shit to create a shortage. Or they're not, destroying pigs and sheep and cows and blaming it on the people who work there. Like, when is people going to see? I met a dude that actually, has watched some of my work the other day. And he's like, "You're crazy. You're crazy." Well, how crazy am I now? How crazy am I now? And see, that's what people think when they look at stuff like this, when they look at, what we're, and I say we because it is a we thing. You guys tell people just like I do. Right? We try to let people know this stuff, and they treat us like we're fucking raving lunatics because of bullshit like this. This is a bold-faced lie. Is it not? Or am I just misreading it? A collection of videos circulating on social media claims the U.S. government is forcing farmers in the U.S. to destroy their crops. They're not forcing them to do anything. They're levying fines against them, and people love money more than they do people. So they're choosing to not take the hit themselves and make your family starve for it. And forcing farmers in the U.S. to destroy their crops. Several of the videos say the intent is to cause food shortages and mass starvation in the country. The videos were edited together into 8-minute compilation and shared in Facebook. Farmers destroying the crops worldwide. That's the video you just watched. And the post was flagged as part of Facebook's efforts to combat false news and misinformation. Okay. So they've never flagged anything that was true before? Because they've flagged a bunch of shit of mine that was not anything misleading or lies or, you see how they do this shit? Congress promised debt relief to farmers of color. They might not get it. After 13 lawsuits against the program, the Emergency Relief for Farmers of Color Act is on thin ice. See, they're fucking with you, man. Military personnel in UK begin driving fuel trucks to stem shortage. This should tell you what it's truly about. In case you're slow of wit, military personnel in the UK began driving fuel trucks. So they pour out a bunch of fuel, a bunch of crude oil, on dirt roads and 126,000 gallons in the ocean. And then they get to bring in the military to divvy out the fuel. See how that works? Same thing with food. They cull a bunch of pig, cows, sheep, destroy all the crops, say water is poisoned and shit because they poison it, and there's a shortage. And then they bring in the military to dole out the food. They create a mandate for people in healthcare to do something they don't want to do, and then give them a deadline to do it. Well, because they know exactly what the fuck it is, the mark of the beast, most people are going to say, "I'm cool, man. I love my job, but I love my soul a little bit more." And they're going to lose their job. It's the bottom line. My old admin, Jeffrey, is in that line of work, and he told me my last day is coming up on this day. They know what's going on. Guess who gets to come in? You guessed it. The military will come in to replace them. Police officers. They'll have a date and a deadline to get something done that's mandated and mandatory. Some of them won't do it. I don't like cops, but they're still people too. Most of them probably will. But some of them won't do it. And guess who they'll bring in? The military to police people. And they will mandate the military. Give them a deadline and a date. And anybody who doesn't take it will be dishonorably discharged and thrown in the fucking streets like a dog. After they put their life on the line, thinking that they were standing up for freedom and something righteous and just, and for people that couldn't fight for themselves. I actually believe that healthcare and police and all of those people go into those fields thinking that that's what they're doing. I truly believe that. I think they're driven by something good at the core of that. Even though they psychologically profile police and get people with little man syndrome and people that were bullied and, you know, people that'll take orders and not ask questions, it doesn't mean all of them are bad and all of them came in because they wanted to beat people's ass and not get in trouble. You know, that's not the case. A lot of people do these things because they think they're helping humanity. They think they're helping keep society civil and order in society and protecting people and saving people and helping people. And then they pervert it the way they do. And see, so everybody that, and I've told people, you know, and people get mad at me, man. I just want you to know, if I'm saying something about one of these things, please do not take it personal. You know? I don't hate you if you're in the military, a cop, or, you know, you're in the medical field. I'm not talking about you or your family. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you what the truth is. And I've had people, especially military families, you know, really be upset with me over the years because I've always known that that's what they would use. It's not fair, but they get a choice just like we do, man. You know? They get a choice too. They're choosing to go along with it. They're choosing to say money is more fucking important than human life. Do you understand that? This is the fork in the road. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish people didn't have to make these hard choices and decisions. And I wish we didn't give away all our power in the name of safety and security to a bunch of satanic sacks of shit. But nobody listened to us while we were warning you that that's exactly what the fuck you were doing. And now this is where we're at. So, if we don't save ourselves, then there's nothing worth saving, nothing left to save. Because society's going to fall. That's all there is to it. Face it. Let it go. It's not your problem, not your doing. You understand the role you played when you were playing it, but you stepped away from that. You're out of the indoctrination. Come out of her, lest you share in her destruction. Do you see what I'm saying? Come out of the system, the beast system, lest you share in her destruction. Do you see the destruction? Now do you see everybody clinging to it? Oh, I don't want a new normal. I want my old way of life back. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. It's gone. It was fucked up too. You were just conditioned to believe that it was righteous and good. There was so much injustice and bloodshed and murder and atrocities under the old system, it's not funny. So what makes you think that that's going to fix everything if we just go back to the old ways? They were fucked up too. Something totally different has to come into place And truth be told, all of this has to happen for that to happen. We're about to learn a hard lesson. Humanity is a hard lesson. And we don't all have to learn it the hard way, though. Some of us can witness this, and if we take care of each other, we can get through this. But do you see how they've divided you up so fucking much before they did this? They primed you for it. They got you ready. You're so divided now. You know, you'll say, oh, I'm not going to watch my family die to help that family. Because you don't understand the most valuable resource on this planet is people. And if you got to have a little less, or go through a little hardship, or whatever, so someone else makes it too, then it's more than fucking worth it. Executive order on adding measles to the list of communicable diseases. Quarantinable. I think I cut out a syllable there. Quarantinable, communicable diseases. By the authority vested in me as the hologram president by the Constitution of the laws of the United States of America, including Section 264B of Title 42. And it's Title 42, as in 42 months. And did you notice that the farmer's bill was 3030, which in numerology you drop the zeros and it'd be 33. Right? Just wanted to point that out. United States Code is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, Amendment to the Executive Order 13295, based upon the recommendation of the Secretary of Health and Human Services in consultation with the Surgeon General and for the purposes set forth in Section 1 of Executive Order 13295 of April 4, 2003, revised list of quarantinable communicable diseases as amended, and the general provisions. Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law as an executive department or agency or the head thereof, the function of the director. And essentially, this is giving them the ability to quarantine a whole section of a state, of a city. I mean, they can quarantine a whole state if they want under this. I hope people are really, and then I showed this, I think in the private show, which if you haven't checked that out, man, you know, join me tomorrow night. Everybody can join for free. You can watch for free. If you want to be able to do the audio and video chat and shit, you got to support. But everybody can watch. Right here. They're showing the numbers of the people admitted to the hospital compared to the people that have been poked, right? And in the areas, see, the lower rate is the darker purple. So you can see around the United States which areas they're going to target through a lot of these things. So when you have the ability to quarantine entire areas, you look at a map like this and you can see who's capitulating and who's not. Like, we're not in my area of Ohio, right? Like, they're not in Florida. They're not in Texas. Notice a lot of bad shit happening to Texas, right? They're not down here in Louisiana. You see? This is going to give them that ability. And I showed you the bill from New York. And you can count on, and that was a form of said bill, the A44416, A2416 bill in New York. Which I'll give you the name. I'm not going to read it. But I'll just give you the name just because I brought it up. think that's it. Yep, New York Assembly A416. Let me give you guys a link here in the chat. And this is what I mean, man. This relates to the removal of cases, contacts, and carriers of communicable diseases who are potentially dangerous to the public health. The removal of those people. Now, they've added measles to the list. I wonder if there'll be a measles outbreak. All right. Now, let me drop this in the chat. I advise everybody to go check that out. I've read it and I've shown it, but I can't get it all into it. But the bottom line is that this is removal and detention of cases, contacts, and carriers who are or may be a danger to public health. The provisions of this section shall be utilized in the event that the governor declares a state of health emergency due to an epidemic of any communicable disease. Now, Biden just added measles to that list. Understand the importance. Upon determining by clear and convincing evidence that the health of others is or may be endangered by a case, contact, or carrier, or suspected case, contact, or carrier of a contagious disease that, in the opinion of the governor after consultation with the commissioner, may pose an imminent and significant threat to the public health, resulting in severe morbidity and high mortality, the governor or his or her delegee, including but not limited to the commissioner or the heads, including or local health department, may order the removal and or detention of a person or of a group of such persons by issuing a single order. Yeah, man. Identifying such persons either by name or by reasonably specific description of the individuals or groups being detained. So let's hypothetically say they don't even know my real name, but they want to identify me. They could just say that guy on YouTube who does Best Damn Podcast. That's enough. That guy with green hair and a face tattoo. That's enough. He's black, 6'3", 220. That's enough. See how that's going to be a problem? And that'll give them probable cause or the right to to harass and fuck up anybody. Now, this is the Great Reset, and I want you to understand a lot of this too, because this is the plan. It says the first leg of our journey progresses across 5 macro categories that offer a comprehensive analytical framework to understand what's going on in today's world and how this might evolve. For ease of reading, we travel thematically through each separately. In reality, they are interdependent, which is where we begin. Our brains make us think in linear terms, but the world that surrounds us is nonlinear. That is to say, complex, adaptive, fast-paced, and ambiguous. The macro reset will occur in the context of 3 prevailing secular forces that shape our world today: interdependence, velocity, and complexity. The trio exerts its force to a lesser or greater degree on us all, whoever or wherever we may be. If just one word had to distill the essence of the 21st century, it would have to be interdependence, a byproduct of globalization and technological progress. It can essentially be defined as a dynamic of reciprocal dependence among the elements that compose a system. The fact that globalization and technological progress have advanced so much over the past few decades has prompted some pundits to declare that the world is now hyper-connected, a variant of interdependence on steroids. And they're showing you that we've corrected the world to where everything hinges off the other. See how that works? Like we shut down water, it affects crops. We shut down crops, it affects food. We shut down food. It affects workers. You see how it works? It's a chain reaction. That's what they're trying to tell you. Economic risk will be confined to the economic sphere, or that an environmental risk won't have repercussions on risk of a different nature. Economic, geopolitical, and so on is no longer tenable. We can all think of economic risks turning into political ones, like a sharp rise in unemployment leading to pockets of social unrest. See, this is what I was talking about. This was the plan. They got everybody on the gravy train that got screwed in the first round. Said, oh, you get unemployment and you get stimulus checks and all of that. And then they put a halt to all that shit, right? And now that there's going to be all these new people that are in military, police, healthcare, and, schools, all of it, right? Education, it's going to just create such a burden that they're not going to be able to take care of everybody. And they've already started universal basic income for foster children, I think, under 21 or 25 in California, and pregnant women. So they're going to lead into universal basic income, but you're not going to get it unless you are going along with the system. And they even said that the first payment would be in cash and have no stipulations on where they were able to spend it. So what that means, just like when they said, we're going to impose this or that, but we're not going to put mandates on stuff. That really meant that in the future they were going to put mandates. It meant right now we're going to get you to say this is okay, right? You'll stay inside, you'll social distance, and you'll do this because you're under the belief that we're not going to mandate you to do certain things. Well, what did they do? They turned straight the fuck around and mandated this stuff. That was them telegraphing that they actually would at a later date. So when they say, we're going to give it in cash, the first payment, and we're not going to put any stipulations on where you can spend it, they're saying at a future date, it won't be in cash, and there will be stipulations on where you can spend it and what you can spend it on. You understand? Like, that's how it works. So this whole, and think, the CBDC, right? Central bank digital currency. Think of all the digital currencies that are popping off, right? The digital dollar, the whole thing. Remember, the first stimulus had the digital dollar proposed on it, and then they took it off right before they brought it out, right? That was to get it in your subconscious. That way there won't be a shock to the system as it rolls out. That's why, they announced the CBDC and all of that shit. It's that way there won't be a shock to the system as it rolls out. The digital euro, the whole nine, right? That way there won't be a shock to the system as it rolls out. They're going to get rid of cash. And it's fairly simple of why they want to do that. Because they don't want you being able to donate $20 to me without them knowing about it. Right? They don't want you to be able to hand your cousin $1 without them knowing about it. Right? So if everything is digital and on a blockchain, every single transaction is taxable, every transaction is traceable, and they know where every bit of the currency is going, and nobody can be independent of the system in that type of setup. Right? And remember, they had the cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Right? The patent of that rolled out same time they declared the national emergency. That told you, that was telegraphing the move. That the national emergency is literally to get everybody into a blockchain system that is going to be based on their body activity data. Right? So they're going to be marked with something, you know what I mean? And it's going to be into a blockchain and controlled. They were announcing the beast system. That's why it was at 333 and all of that. Yeah. When considered in isolation, individual risks, whether economic, geopolitical, societal, or environmental in character, give the false impression that they can be contained or mitigated. In real life, systemic connectivity shows this to be an artificial construct. In an interdependent world, risks amplify each other, and in so doing have cascading effects. This is why isolation or containment cannot rhyme with interdependence and interconnectedness. And this comes from the World Economic Forum. They're showing you. See how it works? Natural disasters, extreme weather, human-made environmental disasters, biodiversity loss, climate action failure, involuntary mitigation. Look, water crisis to food, water crisis to infectious disease, water crisis to failure of urban planning, to involuntary mitigation, critical infrastructure failure, connects to information infrastructure breakdown, cyber attacks, adverse technological advances. You're experiencing all of this right now. Data fraud or theft. We're seeing all of this right now. I hope you're understanding. And see how it all meets down here with social instability, how social instability comes off national government's failure, involuntary mitigation or migration, unemployment. See that? National government's failure, fiscal crisis, state collapse. You see what I'm saying? They're showing you. They've planned this out to the T, man. I'm trying to tell you, like, people really don't get it until it's too late. It's the sad part about it. The velocity. The above firmly points a finger at technological progress and globalization as the primary culprits responsible for greater interdependence. In addition, they have created such a culture of immediacy that it's not an exaggeration to claim that in today's world, everything moves much faster than before. If just one thing were to be singled out to explain this astonishing increase in velocity, it would undoubtedly be the internet. People say, oh, they won't shut down the internet because they want to keep people distracted. That's true. They're going to leave it up for a while. But you're already seeing them test running, shutting shit down. And they've been doing this over the last couple of years, instituting the emergency alert systems and all of this, man. And when the time comes and they have all their pieces in place, and it's time to round people up and put the exclamation point on this, you can guarantee it will go down, along with power. They don't want us to be able to communicate that that's what's happening. More than half, 52% of the world's population is now online, compared to less than 8% 20 years ago. More than 1.5 billion smartphones, a symbol and vector of velocity that allows us to be reached anywhere at any time, were sold around the world. The Internet of Things now connects 22 billion devices in real time, ranging from cars to hospital beds, electrical grids, and water station pumps, to kitchen ovens and agriculture irrigation systems. The number is expected to reach 50 billion or more in 2030. And there's now, the Internet of Bodies, right? The Internet of Bodies. They have now created that through medical care and shit like that. The scarcity element, as societies get richer, time becomes more valuable and there's therefore perceived as ever more scarce. This may explain studies showing that people in wealthy cities always walk faster than in poor cities. They have no time to lose. No matter what the casual explanation is, the end game of all this is clear. As consumers and producers, spouses and parents, leaders and followers, we are all being subjected to constant, albeit discontinuous, rapid change. We can see velocity everywhere, whether it's a crisis, social discontent, technological developments and adoption, geopolitical upheaval, the financial markets, and of course the manifestation of infectious diseases. Everything now runs on fast forward. As a result, we operate in a real-time society with a nagging feeling that the pace of life is ever increasing. The new culture of immediacy, obsessed with speed, is apparent in all aspects of our lives, from just-in-time supply chains to high-frequency trading. See, just-in-time supply chains. So if they're ordering all of the supplies and stopping the chain of supplies and making them sit, what do you think the result will be? Just saying. You see how, like, it's all just absolutely planned? I can't read that part. Let me jump down here. Complexity, it's the simplest form. Complexity can be defined as what we don't understand or find difficult to understand. As for a complex system, the psychologist Herbert Simon defined it as one made up of a large number of parts that interact in a non-simple way. Complex systems are often characterized by an absence of visible, causal links between their elements, which makes them virtually impossible to predict. Deep in ourselves, we sense that the more complex a system is, the greater the likelihood that something might go wrong and that an accident or an aberration might occur and propagate. Complexity can roughly be measured by three factors. Number one, the amount of information content or the number of components in a system. Number two, the interconnectedness, defined as the dynamic of reciprocal responsiveness between these pieces of information or components. And three, the effect of nonlinearity or nonlinear elements are often called tipping points. Nonlinearity is a key feature of complexity because it means that a change in just one component of a system can lead to a surprising and disproportionate effect elsewhere. It is for this reason that the pandemic models so often yield wide ranges of outcomes. A difference of assumption regarding just one component of the model can dramatically affect the end result. When one hears about black swans, known unknowns, or butterfly effects, nonlinearity is at work, and it thus comes as no surprise that we often associate world complexity with surprises, turbulence, and uncertainty. And it's not uncertainty right now. Not uncertainty right now. You can actually see what's happening right now. They are creating a systemic breakdown when you're intentionally dumping off fuel supplies with crude oil, onto dirt roads, into oceans, when you're intentionally culling meat and agriculture and creating a food crisis, when you're intentionally getting rid of your essential workers, police, firefighters, healthcare, military, teachers, all of these things. You're doing all of these things because you're anticipating a societal collapse. And that's what I told you when it started with the George Floyd shit, right? I told you that's what they were doing when they were placing the bricks out in the road and shit. When they were showing videos, and remember, the license plate wasn't even a real fucking license plate. Do you remember that shit now? Now does it make sense to you? Like, so they could bring in National Guard? All the different videos of people being shot by cops and shit. It was just to stoke the flames so they could take something that will happen still. Trust me. People are still going to riot. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. But they're going to be in a far better position to deal with it. Because they've already brought in, the National Guard. And notice, they've already got the Capitol protected in razor wire, the 30,000 troops. Do you not see? And this should show you too. That both sides of politics are in on it. Because it started with one side and it's ending on the other. But the same fucking agenda. I told you it was controlled opposition. They wanted to get the dissenters to be comfortable with dissenting so they could mark you, so they could know who you were. They needed you to feel comfortable in your beliefs. And that's what happened. People are still comfortable in their beliefs. They don't understand that they've been had. They still think the guy who set them all up for fucking failure is going to come back and save them. Absolute insanity. The National Security Fellows Program, the Department of Defense, Artificial Intelligence, and Healthcare. Yeah, those go hand in hand. Why leveraging data will improve service member health and chart a pathway for the public good. Sounds a lot like the greater good, doesn't it? Take a look at the abstract here. The DoD. Recent growth in AI and machine learning is poised to revolutionize industries and economies while supporting drive to leverage large data sets is a crucial component of that effort. The DoD currently owns one of the most extensive collections of medical data in the world. By harnessing this data, the DoD could make significant advances in diagnostic care, pathology research, and force readiness. However, questions of privacy and patient rights remain a concern when accessing and analyzing the data. The research paper examines the intersection of privacy, artificial intelligence, policy, and medical advancement. Through interviews with senior military leaders, technologists, medical professionals, and academia, the research examines the potential impacts of leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning with DoD healthcare. It's like a fucking DoD healthcare, the Department of Defense healthcare. Does that even go together at all? It's an oxymoron. The researchers also examine public policy documents and relevant technology research to discover policy solutions and highlight innovative remedies for this problem set. Specifically, could researchers harness the DoD's large medical data sets while offsetting risk to patient privacy? Significant opportunities exist to make lasting impacts using DoD medical data. Recent national technology and defense policies provide a clear mandate to explore methods to properly and safely leverage this data. Still, DoD leadership must equip its AI researchers with unambiguous command authority to take this to action this mandate. Finding ways to employ AI ethically remains a priority for DoD leaders. Yeah, they're doing it all ethically. And advances in de-identification technology can protect patient privacy while achieving substantial research gains for broad societal gains. Like I said, they've had this all ready for you, waiting to go. AI-powered DoD data analysis program shatters the narrative. It shows ADE accelerating each week. Now, where's the ADE thing? This is what people are coming up with, and I can't really even talk about this, but let's just put it this way. The antibody-dependent enhancement. Let me make this a little bigger. So you know. Immune responses to pathogens involve many cells and proteins of the immune system. Early during infection, these responses are nonspecific, meaning that although they are directed at the pathogens, they are not specific to it. This is called innate immunity. Within a few days, adaptive immunity takes over. This immunity is specific to the invading pathogen. Adaptive immune responses include antibodies. A major goal of antibodies is to bind to the pathogen and prevent it from infecting or entering a cell. Antibodies that prevent entry into cells are called neutralizing antibodies. Many blank work by inducing neutralizing antibodies. However, not all antibody responses are created equal. Sometimes antibodies do not prevent cell entry, and on rare occasions, they may actually increase the ability of a virus to enter cells and cause a worsening of disease through a mechanism called antibody dependent enhancement. And what this basically is as a result of certain types of treatment, this is brought on through the process just described. And anytime something is introduced to the body, remember how we talk about in the private shows the hyperreactivity, right? The monoclonal antibodies and all of that stuff. This is it. An autoimmune response that basically makes the body attack itself. What is it called? A cytokine storm. And the common cold becomes a problem. Put it that way. I don't want to talk too much about that stuff because, quite frankly, I'm not allowed to. Where it counts, U.S. leads in artificial intelligence. When it comes to advancements in artificial intelligence technology, China does have a lead in some places, like spying on its own people and using facial recognition technology to identify political dissenters. Yeah, the United States isn't doing that, are they? But those are areas where the U.S. simply isn't pointing its investments in artificial intelligence, says director of the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. Where it counts, the U.S. leads, he said. While it is true that the United States faces formidable technological competitors in challenging strategic environments, the reality is that the United States continues to lead in AI in its most important military applications. China leads in some places. The military and police authorities undeniably have the world's most advanced capabilities, such as unregulated facial recognition for universal surveillance and control of their domestic population, trained on Chinese video gathered from their systems, and Chinese language text analysis for internet and media censorship. The same fucking thing is happening here. The U.S. is capable of doing similar things, he said, but doesn't. It's against the law, and it's not in line with American values. Our Constitution and privacy laws protect the rights of U.S. citizens and how their data is collected and used. Therefore, we simply don't invest in building such universal surveillance and censorship systems. Yeah. The department does invest in systems that both enhance warfighter capability for instance, and also help the military protect and serve the U.S. during you-know-what. The Project Salus effort, for instance, which began in March of this year, puts artificial intelligence to work helping to predict shortages for things like water, medicine, and supplies. And this product was developed in direct work with U.S. Northern Command and the National Guard. Now think about it, right? I showed you Project Salus at the very beginning, right? And they had an entire outline for all of this with AI. And it was going to predict all of these shortages and the supply shortages. And it was working with who? The National Guard, right? The National Guard. And now who gets brought in everywhere? I'm sure it's just a coincidence. He said that the Guard didn't have was predictive analytics on where such shortages might occur or real-time analytics for supply and demand. Project Salus, a name for the Roman goddess of safety and well-being, fills that role. We now have roughly about 40 to 50 different data streams coming into Project Salus at the data platform layer, and we have another 40 to 45 different AI models that are all running on top of the platform that allows for the Northcom operations team to actually get predictive analytics on where shortages and things will occur. Well, let me just pose the question. How is the AI predicting shortages if you're fucking causing them? If you're going and telling somebody to go dump a bunch of oil in 126,000 gallons in the ocean, telling other farmers to dump the shit in dirt fields and shit, and then you're telling the farmers to destroy all their crops. You got Walmart now sneaking into all the fresh water because they're trying to control that. The massive culling of sheep and pigs and cattle and all of this. How are you predicting any supply shortage unless you're predicting where the most critical place to create a shortage would be? Right? You can determine based on this interconnectedness, right, that we've seen in the document of the Great Reset, that if you attack specific areas, right? Like Nebraska, right? You take out, where the main farming and shit is, right, in the United States. Well, as a result, what's going to happen? Right? It's going to be a total systematic collapse, one by one, pillar by pillar, piece by piece. That if you present mandates to specific fields, that it's going to create a need for those holes to be filled, and the only people that will be left to fill it is the military. It's like there's nothing strategic or special about any fucking thing they've done. You could write this all down on paper and know that it would happen the way it's happening if you did it the way that they're doing it. It doesn't take a genius to know that if you stop the shipping and all of that supplies don't come in and they don't leave, and that creates a problem. It doesn't take a genius to know that if you kill all the livestock, there'll be no meat, there'll be no milk, there'll be no eggs, there'll be shit. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff goes away. Cheese, right? Doesn't take a genius to know that if you poison the water, that people ain't going to have nothing to drink. Doesn't take AI system to tell you that if you chop down all the crops, that we have nothing to eat. This is the reaffirming the Declaration of the United Nations Conference of the Human Environment adopted in Stockholm on the 16th of June, 1972, which, just saying, 1 and 9 would actually just be 9. 7 plus 2 is 9, so that's 9, right? 9 and 9 would actually just make 9. So 9 is the end. 1 and 6 is 6, right? Stockholm. With the goal of establishing a new and equitable global partnership through the creation of new levels of cooperation among the states, key sectors, and societies of people, working towards international agreements which respect the interests of all and protect the integrity of the global environmental and developmental system. And the first principle: human beings are at the center of concerns for sustainable development. They are entitled to a healthy and productive life in harmony with nature. Principle 2. States have, in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations and their principles of international law, the sovereign right to exploit their own resources pursuant to their own environmental and developmental policies, and the responsibility to ensure that activities within their jurisdiction or control do not cause damage to the environment of other states or areas beyond the limits of national jurisdiction. Principle 1, they tell you that the center is human beings. Principle 2, they tell you that they have the sovereign right to exploit the resource. Well, who is the resource? Human beings. See? Principle 3, the right to development must be fulfilled so as to equitably meet developmental and environmental needs of present and future generations. 4, in order to achieve sustainable development, environmental protection shall constitute an integral part of the development process and cannot be considered in isolation from it. All states and all people shall cooperate in the essential task of eradicating poverty as an indispensable requirement for the sustainable development. That just means killing all the poor people, by the way, in order to decrease the disparities in standards of living and better meet the needs of the majority of the people around the world. The special situation and needs of developing countries, particularly the least developed and those most environmentally vulnerable, shall be given special priority. International actions in the field of environment and development should also address the interests and needs of all countries. States shall cooperate in spirit of global partnership to conserve, protect, and restore the health and integrity of Earth's ecosystem in view of the different contributions to global environmental degradation. They have the common but differentiated responsibilities. They developed countries acknowledge the responsibility that they bear in the international pursuit of sustainable development. To achieve sustainable development and a higher quality of life for all people, states should reduce and eliminate unsustainable patterns of production, consumption, and promote appropriate demographic policies. They're telling you exactly what they're going to do. They're just wording it in a fancy way. States should cooperate to strengthen indigenous capacity building for sustainable development by improving scientific understanding through exchanges of scientific and technological knowledge, by enhancing development, adaptation, diffusion, and transfer of technologies, including new and innovative technologies. Now let's skip the principles here. Agenda 21, the special product of the Earth Summit, a vast work program for the 21st century approved by consensus among the world leaders in Rio, representing over 98% of the world's population. This historic document is 700 pages long and embraces all areas of sustainable development. Accelerating sustainable development calls for a global partnership to provide a dynamic and growing world economy based on an open, equitable, secure, non-discriminatory, and predictable multilateral trading system in which commodity exports of the developing countries can find markets at fair prices free of tariff and tariff barriers. Suggests that factors creating policies of development, resource management, and poverty be integrated. This objective is to be sought by improving access of the poor to education and healthcare, safe water and sanitation, and to resources, especially land, by restoration of degraded resources, by empowerment of the disadvantaged, especially women, youth, and indigenous peoples, by ensuring that women and men have the same right and the means to decide freely and responsibly on the number of spacing of their children. Cost of implementation, $30 billion. Changing consumption patterns. One of the most serious problems now facing the planet is that associated with historical patterns of unsustainable consumption and production, particularly in the industrialized countries. Social research and policy should bring forward new concepts of status and lifestyles which are less dependent on the Earth's finite resources and more in harmony with its carrying capacity. Greater efficiency in the use of energy and resources. For example, reducing wasteful packaging of products must be sought by new technology and new social values. Population. It urges governments to develop and implement population policies integral with their economic development programs. Health services should include women-centered, women-managed, safe and effective reproductive health care, and affordable, accessible services as appropriate for the responsible planning of family size. Health services are to emphasize reduction of infant death rates, which converge with low birth rates, to stabilize world population at a sustainable number at the end of the century. Remember, the end of the age just happened. The Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, right? The Great Conjunction. That was the end of the age. Protecting and promoting health. Calls for the meeting basic health needs of populations, provide necessary specialized environmental services, coordinate involvement of citizens, the health sector, and solutions to health problems. The health service coverage should be achieved for population groups in the greatest need, particularly those living in rural areas. The preventative measures urged include reckoning with urban health hazards and risks from environmental pollution. And if you look at, and I can't really talk about it, tomorrow night I'm going to show some documents in the private show as far as demographic is concerned, and the amount of, excuse me, I got the odds, the amount of mortalities or fatalities that is resulting in particular demographics that are going along with this agenda. That alone, if people were really, wanting to virtue signal and stand up for, minorities and shit like that, the number one thing right now that is a massive social injustice against people of color is the number one agenda that we're all facing. It kills them more according to their diversity than it does, other groups of people. And that's something that's being completely ignored by, all of these groups that's supposed to stand up for different people because it's not part of the agenda, right? They're telling you in the sustainable development that they have to eradicate poverty and they have to do it in rural areas. So by design, this is meant to attack specific, and that's why it's all about genetics and shit too as well. You can go all the way back to Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. Jeez. And how they were attacking the God gene and all that shit, back in, I want to say it was Operation Iraqi Freedom around that time. But either way, they were intentionally attacking particular genetics of people with particular diseases, right? So they would use one disease type that would say it would kill Arabic people 5 times more likely than it would kill a white person, right? That's the type of studying they were doing. And those same family of viruses and diseases and those same family of treatments are being dispersed today, right? Like among the population. So, you can take that for what it's worth. Changing the consumption patterns, and when you look at Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset, he's telling you about the interconnectedness of everything. When they were changing the consumption patterns and changing the way that production was made, they were trying to make it interconnected so they could create the domino effect and have total control over the system. I talk about this a lot of times, how there are these monopolies created in different industries, and they're done intentionally because they want to consolidate and liquidate everything down to like 1 or 2, massive corporations, right? Which a corporation is a living entity, right? The way that they build a corporation is it's a work of witchcraft, the same way you would like bring an entity to life or an entity into fruition. Population and sustainability. This is developing and implementing the population integral with their economic development programs. They're saying we're going to basically bring out, pro-choice, as well as if we can control the economics of an area, we control the population. And you're seeing that happen right now. So if they're shutting off the economies, if they're stopping different areas of, the economics of our country and other countries, particularly Europe and the United States, then what are they doing to the population? They're shutting them off too, right? They're killing them, right? This is all part of the plan. Protecting, promoting human health. This is just using in the name of health as the same thing, right? That they've used in the name of safety and security. The war on drugs. So on and so forth. Sustainable human settlements. Addresses the full range of facing urban and rural settlements. So they're saying cities and the country, including access to land credit, low-cost building materials by homeless, poor, and unemployed. This is creating FEMA camps. That's what this is. Upgrading of slums to ease the deficit in urban shelter. Access to basic services of clean water, sanitation, and waste collection, use of appropriate construction materials, designs, and technologies, increased use of high occupancy, public transportation, and bicycle and footpaths that's taking you out of a fucking car, just to say, reduction of long-distance commuting, support for the informal economic sector, and development of urban renewal projects. Right, so that's changing the way the urban life is, right? So that's creating these little fucking you live in a box cities, right? They call them smart cities and shit like that. But here, let me show you what one actually looks like. I wonder how the last video I did, they made it to where you have to be 18 and over to watch it. So I wonder what they're going to do with this one. This is what they're talking about, changing cities to this. Right? They can put a large number of the population to a small area. That's why they created the quarantine zones. That's why they created the centers and all of this, guys. This is going to be the forced migration of lots of people. They're already forcing it away from the coastline with oil spills and hurricanes and shit like that. They're forcing you into these places, and only those that. And what's sad about it is, even if you go along with everything, you don't live. You understand? You don't live. Because as you're forced into this, you'll be forced to comply with all of their different requirements for health, food, water, all of it, man. So you can imagine. Israel has already announced now that people that have taken 2 of the pokes are no longer allowed to shop and shit. You got to have 3. They're now dropping bombs on people. They're saying, looking into the astral projection, sorry. Where's that? Right here. Effectiveness drops after 6 months. So this is them letting you know, like, what type of interval you're going to be required to go along with this. And as you can see, as they're crippling all of our infrastructure and us on an economic level, bam, hit by another international bribery scandal. This is all coming after Miley and shit talking about he was going to tell the Chinese if we were going to attack them. See, and now he's saying one man shouldn't control the nuclear button. Congress should require consultation so generals wouldn't have to break the rules to save the world. Come the fuck on. Come on. Algeria closes its airspace to the French military. French army says as row grows. Algeria has closed its airspace to the French military planes, French military said on Sunday, escalating the biggest row between the countries in years. See, this is everywhere, man. They're getting ready. And, see, a few skeptical workers choose dismissal. As NASA's Armageddon-style asteroid deflection mission takes off in November. And that's DART, that's Double Asteroid Redirection Test, which they're inviting the media to come be a part of it. But don't you love how they're basically telling you what's up? The Armageddon-style asteroid deflection mission takes off in November. I'm willing to bet that by December, our world is very different. I think people will be dying all over the place. Not from starvation and shit yet, but as a result of the agenda and the effect that it's going to have on those that it's been thrust upon, especially as they crank it up. We might find ourselves in a position by the start of next year to where we're not allowed to enter certain spaces without showing proof to National Guard. I think that we will see a National Guard presence in all of our hospitals, our police in our streets, everywhere. Yeah. And this December, January-ish, I think we could probably see that. So, and they're going to continue to destroy supplies, and you're going to see too, and we've already seen it with solar storm and shit like that. Now begins, I believe there's going to be a bunch of cyber attacks that are going to start to come in now. Different forms of data breaches that will involve national security. They've just sold a bunch of USS. I'm trying to think of the different ones they got rid of for 1 cent. For 1 cent. Quite a few carriers they got rid of. Or destroyers. I can't remember which one it was. They're completely debilitating the military. That way it's just a walk in the park whenever this happens. It's going to be in the name, the UN, right? And remember, I've talked about the UN disarmament treaty for a long time now, and now you're going to see why. Because that's what they're going to come in under the guise of peacekeeping. And China has the #1 contribution to the UN peacekeeping soldiers, right? Brazil's tragic ivermectin frenzy is a warning to the U.S. Got some ivermectin right here. I don't see, I think this is all but Brazil. Commonly prescribed anti-parasitic drug, and early on in the pandemic, Brazilians thought that the ivermectin might also help treat it, but now they're saying they learned the hard way. I can't say too much about anything anymore. U.S. warns China to cease as record number of Chinese military flights test Taiwan's airspace. See? I brought this up the other day, the 80 warplanes and how they had the nuclear bombers, the anti-submarine planes and all of that. And see, and people always think that when I'm showing shit, like I'm just doing it for a reaction or something. I don't know. I don't get why people think that way. Like I'm not serious about something or whatever. Like I'm not showing you for a specific reason. But this, and see now, here's the... Here's the result. U.S. warns China to cease as record numbers of Chinese military flights test Taiwan's airspace. Hong Kong. China's military has flown a record number of aircraft sorties into Taiwan's air defense identification zone over the last 4 days. The People's Liberation Army flights testing Taiwan's airspace represent the most aggressive military posturing to date from China. And they drew a warning from the Biden administration late on Sunday evening. Quote, the United States is very concerned by the People's Republic of China's provocative military activity near Taiwan, which is destabilizing, risks miscalculations, and undermines regional peace and stability. The U.S. State Department said in a statement, we urge Beijing to cease its military, diplomatic, and economic pressure and coercion against Taiwan. China says UK warship near Taiwan shows evil intentions. On October 1st, the modern China celebrated the 72nd anniversary of its founding. 38 People's Liberation Army aircraft flew close to southwest Taiwan before circling back the next day. China flew 39 more sorties, and Sunday saw 16 more flights, all following the similar path. Monday, hours after the warning to China from Washington, Taiwan's defense ministry said another 52 Chinese military planes had entered the island's air defense zone, by far the most ever in a single day, bringing the total over 4 days to 145 flights. And keep in mind, 4 plus 5 is 9. The 1 drops, it's 9. 9 is finality. Taipei has scrambled its own aircraft in response, issued radio warnings, and deployed air defense missile systems as it monitors the Chinese aircraft. The planes included Shenyang J-16 fighter jets, considered a core element in China's military strength, along with the Sukhoi Su-30s fighter jets and the Zhan H-6 twin-engine nuclear bombers, which analysis expect to become central to China's bomber force in the 2030s. The Shanzai I think it's YA-ASW turbo transport submarine hunters, them are anti-submarine planes, and Shenzhai KJ-500 early warning aircraft, which are anti-aircraft, were also on display, testing Taiwan's resolve to defend its airspace. And let me just hip you to something in case you don't know. Taiwan is already owned by China. Okay? So all this bullshit you see where the United States is acting like they're defending the sovereignty of the Taiwanese people is just fucking nonsense. It's absolute garbage, trash. You can throw that bullshit away. There's no defense of democracy and no liberation of people going on. China institutes laws that affect Taiwan dramatically all the time. China does what it wants with Taiwan. And China has stated, and I've put this out there for years, the Chinese government has made it clear that under no circumstances, none, and that's why they sent 52 more planes, because that's how afraid of the U.S. they are. They're not. They know who wins this war. So do you if you've been paying attention. It's not the U.S. Hint, hint. Spoiler alert. And that's why Russia had recently come to China for the joint drills for the first time in history. Right? And what were they simulating? U.S. NATO attack. You can already see how this is going to go. Why is Miley saying he's going to tell China before the U.S. attacks? Do you not see how this is going to go? Right? I told you, Taiwan was going to bring us into the mix, which was going to create the conflict, U.S.-China, and all our allies, France, UK, that's why France is having problems. Those are Russian and Chinese allies they're having problems with. It's all coming to a head. And guess what? North Korea. I told you this shit was coming. North Korea reopens hotline with South in bid to mend ties. Didn't I tell you South would flip? It's going to happen, man. I think Germany is too. Germany and Turkey, who have Russian missile systems. You know, here's the aerial footage of the oil spill in California. Look at that. Are they not going to show us how the Coast Guard's just all over the place? No, of course not. See how they shut down the beaches and coastlines? No. One could kind of guess, too, that as you see like things ratcheting up with the global conflict, we'll just call it WW3, that there is a deeper purpose in having the Coast Guard all along the Pacific coast like that. You know what I mean?
I was doing laundry and I found this in your room.
Just saying. Side effects actually worse this year? Yeah, I wonder why. Just wondering. The feds raid Leiden Spice in Miami. Find rats and birds and feces and dead bugs. Right? Taking out the food. People better wake up, man. Empty buildings in China's provincial cities. Oh, and as the largest comet ever discovered is heading towards the sun. Nothing to worry about, though. I bet I'd trust that shit. Bright fireball lights up the pre-dawn sky over Colorado. They know that, dude, I'm trying to tell you, every last bit of what you're seeing happening is happening because they're racing against the clock of global catastrophe. Just take a look at La Palma. There was a fucking big earthquake that hit right there. It's erupting. Kilauea. I mean, you can look Mauna Loa, any volcanic, Yellowstone. It's all popping off. The volcanoes are erupting. The seismic shift is already beginning. We're seeing the ground literally breathing, rising and falling in different places, particularly in India and Canada. I showed the videos the other day, along with this massive movement of or release of this seismic energy. And it's coming in the form of these earthquakes and volcanoes. And we're seeing that there's massive amounts of gases that are being released too, because that's what's creating all of these auroras, which are, being trapped at the ionosphere. The sun and the increased activity there just shows you that something is right around it and it's creating said activity. That's a sign of that. And then when you look at how they're bringing in the agenda and they're shutting off all the different supply chains, the food, the water, the livestock, all of that, it's letting you know, right? They're ramping up the military presence. Look at Australia. It's fucking military occupied. And the people are just under oppression, straight tyranny. Straight tyranny. You can expect that here, everywhere. Nobody's going to get away from this. They say that China was like shut down shit. That's a lie. It's a lie. China wasn't shut down. This is just them making different cover stories. It's psychological warfare, right? You repeat the lie enough, it becomes a truth, Just like they say, oh, well, Facebook flagged that video of the farmers as misinformation. Well, fuck. Facebook is the authority, isn't it? Right? Like, they're the authority on things. So if they flagged it as misinformation, all those farmers must be lying and Facebook must be telling the truth, even though they hire foreign fucking companies that are from Canada and other places because they're not under the rules of the U.S. Constitution and can legally make something misinformation that's actually true. And they can use tactics to attack and defame the people that are speaking these things. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And all of this is part of these agendas. The Great Resets, the fucking Agenda 21 and 2030 for Sustainable Development, the DOD, AI. You better understand what's happening. You don't have much time to figure this shit out. I don't know why this fucking video. Here we go. And I have some other videos I'm going to show real quick. Okay, I don't know what's up with this piece of shit video here, the fireball. But I do have some cool ones over here, though. And this is what I was talking about the other day, the milligram experiment. People like those farmers that are saying, well, they're going to find me. The government told me to do it, so that's why I'm doing it, even though they know it's going to hurt a bunch of people.
That's it. Now continue using the last switch on the board, please. The 450 switch for each wrong answer. Continue, please.
I'm not getting no answer.
Please continue. The next word is white.
But you think you should look in on them, please?
Not once we've started the experiment.
But what if something's happened to them and had an attack or something there?
The experiment requires that we continue. Go on, please.
Don't the man's health mean anything?
Whether the learner likes it or not, we must...
But he might be dead in there. I mean, some people can't take the shock, sir.
Please
continue. I don't tend to be rude, but I mean, I think you should look in on them. All you got to do is look at the door. If I don't get no answer, no noise, something I think has happened to the gentleman in there, sir.
We must continue. Go on, please.
You're going to keep giving what, 450 volts every shot now?
That's correct. Continue. The next word is white.
White. 450 volts. Next one is short. sentence, movie, skirt, time.
All right, excuse me, teacher. We'll have to discontinue the experiment. I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
How do you feel, though?
I feel all right, but I don't like what's happened that I followed him there. He's been howling, and we had to keep giving him shocks. I didn't like that one bit. I mean, he wanted to get out, and he just kept going, kept throwing 450 volts. I didn't like that. He wouldn't even look at on that gentleman.
Well, who was actually pushing the switch?
I was. But he kept insisting. I told him no, but he said he's got to keep going. I told him it's time we stopped when we got up to 195, 210 volts.
But why didn't you just stop?
He wouldn't let me. I wanted to stop.
Many people, not knowing much about the experiment, claim that subjects who go to the end of the board are sadistic. Nothing could be more foolish as an overall characterization of these persons. The context of their action must always be considered. The individual, upon entering the laboratory, becomes integrated into a situation that carries its own momentum. The results, as I observe them in the laboratory, are disturbing. They raise the possibility that human nature cannot be counted on to insulate men from brutality and inhumane treatment at the direction of malevolent authority. A substantial proportion of people do what they are told to do, irrespective of the content of the act and without limitations of conscience, so long as they perceive that the command comes from a legitimate authority. If in this study an anonymous experimenter could successfully command adults to subdue a 50-year-old man and force on him painful electric shocks against his protests, one can only wonder what government, with its vastly greater authority and prestige, can command of its subjects.
Boom, bitch. And that's ultimately what is happening right now. As you watch those, military and cops and shit slamming people and beating people and brutalizing people, it's because an authority they deem greater than themselves told them to do so. As you watch those people lining all of the other ones up, giving them their death, it's because authority they deem greater than themselves told them to do so. As the farmers destroy all the crops, knowing it'll create mass starvation, the culling of the pigs, the cattle, the sheep, because the authority they deem greater than themselves told them to do so. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, this experiment is, it's genius. Because it shows how you are actually in control. That it's up to you. Quit passing the buck to, they're going to find me. Well, that's motivated by greed. It's motivated by self-preservation. The good of one versus the all. The government told me to do so. That's shifting it to, this authority is greater than you or all of us. So even though you know something's wrong, you know something has an ill effect, you know something's going to murder people, you go along with it. Because you've placed this idea up on a pedestal where it doesn't fucking belong. The government has become your God in most situations. I mean, shit, even you look at Romans, it's talking about to obey authority. Remember, I was reading letters from the ICE agent who committed suicide and how he told you all this stuff was going to happen before he smoked himself on Pier 40 in New York and all of that. People used to talk so much shit about me reading that. Oh my God. Sound like nonsense now? Let's do one more here. Where's it at?
Well, would you speak to the people who believe it is a worthwhile vaccine and it is saving lives? Are they just dead wrong? Are they been fed a line from the federal government?
Tim, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the people that went ahead and got the jab. I speak their language. I would speak to them thusly. Bah, 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 bah. They understand that.
Well, so all these millions of people that got the shots, they're just stupid?
Yep.
Yup. I think I'll leave it with that. You can see it though. It's happening all over the fucking place. Wake your ass up. That's not the sun, by the way. It's a malfunction or something they put in front of it to blind you from the truth. To blind you from your death. Behold, he's coming on the clouds. Ooh boy, you're about to find out what that means. Everybody is about to be tested by the fire. Refined by the fire. Literally. Literally. Where is it at? And they literally talk about, and where do I have it here? I've got it on a smaller thing. Being refined by the fires of affliction. You think that that's what's happening? You think that that's where we're at right now? And this is the fire. It's incoming.
Is Raptor News. In 1939, Carlos Munoz Ferrada discovered a planet that I call Planet Hell. He called it a comet planet, and he said it traveled with a black sun. In our skies today is the black sun that he said that it traveled with. He also said a series of things that is happening right now, and that is going to be these earthquakes in certain places that he called it the triangulation. And then he also said that all hell was going to break loose when this volcano earthquake happened in Italy, which just happened. Okay, I'll be translating on this part.
La órbita.
The orbit of this comet planet that you say is a comet planet, because its movements is not normal thing. No. That it has different speeds. It is a comet planet because it has an elliptical orbit like a comet, and because it has great mass as a planet, and that's why I call it a comet planet. A planet with a tail. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are witnessing here is the comet planet with the tail, with a 2 million mile long debris tail packed with asteroids, meteorites, hailstones, brimstones, or whatever you want to call it. This was just recently filmed in Vietnam, so it's here. Here it is again, folks, blazing in Japan in the daylight skies. Same comet planet, only you don't see the debris tail, you see the planet. And here it is again. This was filmed in Siberia. Same comet planet, you do not see the debris tail. Sometimes you see the debris tail and all these meteorites and comets and asteroids lit up. And this footage that was filmed yesterday in Latin America had a lot of people frightened. The title of the video was Borincula Avni C Estrella. So this was filmed on the 3rd, and today is the 4th. So that looked like a sun in the sky. And we'll finish up with this one. These are the lava pits of the planet. You will see the planet descending on the horizon. This is the footage I didn't get to show you clearly yesterday. You'll clearly see the stripes, the lava pits, and everything else. Everybody keeps confusing it with ovnis or UFOs, but this, people, is the literal hell. And this is Rap.
And I literally found that video too that he's showing. He changed the contrast on it, but they're showing this as UFOs. They're showing it as UFOs. See, same exact video. Remember, it has 7 heads and 10 horns. See, and they're this is why the alien agenda is so dangerous. People just buy into this crap, man. They just buy into this shit. I don't know what to tell people anymore at this point. I honestly don't. I don't know what to say to people. You've been had. They're coming for you. They always were. That was always the plan. You put your faith and your trust in men that probably aren't even men. If we're keeping it real, you probably don't even have a soul. So, they know what's happening. They know what's about to come down on all of us. That's why they're hiding it. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to figure it out until it's too late. And they're locking the world down. And they're going to put on the greatest theater of a world war you have ever seen to justify the murder and destruction of humanity. So people keep living just for yourselves. Keep being selfish, self-centered, self-absorbed, ignorant to the truth, lying to yourselves, lying to each other. It doesn't matter anymore. Honestly, we're all about to face our own shit now. Like we all got to deal with the people we really are now. And it's all being brought to the light. Like all of it. All of it. If we don't take care of each other, we don't help each other, there's no point to any of it anyways. And I don't see anything that leads me to believe that people are going to change. I see very few truly good souls out there. Very few that are, selfless, loving, accepting, generous, forgiving, kind, humble souls. But that too will inherit it all. There's only a few. It gets more and more narrow each day. Each day. So, don't put it off for tomorrow. The time is now. Everything you need is in here. Everything you need. And everything that matters is the people around you. It really is. My one fear about making these videos is that it'll have an adverse reaction and it'll cause you to panic and cause you to go into self-defense and survival mode and all of that. And I hope to God it doesn't. I hope it doesn't have that reaction or effect on you. I pray it doesn't. I pray it's a stark reminder that that's the absolute opposite of what you should be doing. Remember, it's a higher level than what we're seeing played out here on the 3D. This is higher consciousness that goes on. Good souls, good spirits that go on. None of that self-preservation bullshit is making it to the next level. I'm just keeping it real with you. So don't buy into it. Don't let fear keep you from being a good person. And Don't make excuses to justify being a bad one. I want to thank all of you guys for joining me. Yeah, do not be afraid to not add another day. I appreciate all of you guys, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. I feel like it's a shame it's taken me so long to realize just how important the whole was, but I'm just glad I realized it before it was all said and done. We've done some really cool stuff together, and we've learned some really cool things together, and built some cool relationships. We really got to come together, guys, and we really got to help each other. I mean that. Like I don't see it. I'm looking for it, and I'm praying for it, and I'm hoping for it. And I know that people can do it, and I know that it's in all of you to do it. So, do it. Do it. Because if you don't, who else will? Look around you. There's nobody. You are the superheroes in this story. Do you not? That's what I'm trying to get across to you. You are. If you're watching this video, you are. It's up to you. Not me. Not nobody else. You. If you've ever wondered what your purpose was, the reason you're here, you now know it. You now know it. It was for now. It was for now. This is your moment to shine. Are you going to let it pass you by? Are you going to rise to the occasion? Are you going to be great? Because you can be. Only if you want to. You have to desire that above self-preservation, above survival. You have to understand this is chess, not checkers, and the survival is a spiritual one. It's a long game. You got to see past what's being put right in front of you. You got to look past the story. And I pray to God that you do and that you will, because I know you can. I know you can. I believe in each and every one of you, man, or I wouldn't be doing this. For real. I don't know when they're going to take me out of the game, but I know that we are the ones to do what needs to be done, or it won't be done at all. And we have to do it together, or we won't win. We won't accomplish anything. So it's that simple. I love you guys. Please hit the thumbs up if you're in the chat. Share this for me. They really are hiding my content big time. If you would like to join me tomorrow night, everybody is welcome to come and watch the private show. If you want to donate and support the channel, that is how I make my living. That is how the channel goes and all of that. And those who, support, donate, tip, whatever, will have the audio and video access to be able to do the chat and stuff like that. I will be doing the chat after, so I'm going to try to keep it shorter tomorrow to make sure I'm able to do that with everybody if you're interested. And to everybody that does take the time to watch, and that does take the time to share, and that does is selfless enough to give their hard-earned money and shit like that. Thank you. Seriously, I appreciate it. Just for being around, man. Just for watching. Just for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. And I can't tell you what a cool journey it's been for me, man. Just doing this in life at all. So I feel honored. I honestly do. And I feel grateful. So love you guys. And so if you haven't subscribed, follow, hit the like, share, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and please consider supporting. It does help me out a lot. Alright guys, remember, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. God bless you guys. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow night. We'll be doing the private show. I'll probably try to announce it before we do. Alright, man. Peace.
Shout out Curb. Shout out Raven. Blood on my teeth, don't be walking down the street. I'll be in the dark, white bitch you never eat. I'll be in the dark, white bitch you never sleep. Pull up in a park and these bitches look at me. Look at Pete. Brick walls, ain't nobody getting in now. Fake friends, they don't wanna see me win now. Deep water, they don't wanna see me swim now. Water on my wrist, castle for my bitch now.
Yo, I dropped out of school, but that money coming in. My mouth full of jewels, she like it when I grin. Tracy the Prince, sipping champagne inside of the lift. My castle big, I'm sorry girl, but you can't come in. Lil' P, why do they hate? My bitch so bad, told that bitch to behave. I run it up, they wanna see me crawl. All they do is talk, please get off my balls. Yeah. Brick walls, ain't nobody getting in now. The moon's out, I feel like myself again now. Fuck you, fuck her and fuck them. If I died today, you would try to fuck my bitch. Brick walls, ain't nobody getting in now. The moon's out, I feel like myself again now. Fuck you, fuck her and fuck them. If I died today, you would try to fuck my bitch.
On my teeth, don't be walking down the street. I'll be in the dark, white bitch you never eat. I'll be in the dark, white bitch you never sleep. Pull up in a park and these bitches look at me. Look at Pete. Brick walls, ain't nobody getting in now. Fake friends, they don't wanna see me win now. Deep water, they don't wanna see me swim now. Water on my